All right, we're going. Hello, welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining me. We are starting the Mandala class, and I'm really excited to share this with you because this activity is a little different than the last activity because it allows you to customize and personalize your artwork more so than painting enamel wildflowers. So I'm going to get started here with my presentation. I'm going to share my screen here with you. All right, so you should be able to see my screen here. Wanted to let you know that the Next Stage program is brought to you by Heal Her Art, a wellness program for women veterans, and also is sponsored by the American Legion Auxiliary Foundation, Veterans First, and Arizona Commission on the Arts. So mandalas, this activity is about combining shapes. And so you get to choose to make which patterns and adding them to a circular design of your choice. You choose whether your creation from this class has any type of meaning. So if you want your design to be personally symbolic, tell a story, or just aesthetically pleasing, it's 100% up to you. So with this being said, you can use either the term mandala or kaleidoscope to refer to your creations. For common contemporary terminology of this type of design, I'm going to be using the term mandala. So your kit includes all these materials here. The printed paper materials are what we'll be using, which has got the arrow for tonight's class, a couple tubes of metallic paint, regular paint, some rhinestones there, canvas panels, really fine detailed paintbrush, some clear craft glue to adhere the rhinestones and also potentially make a 3D element on your canvases. Some tracing paper, both white and red, so please be careful with that because if you do happen to scratch that, it can transfer white or red. It does come off relatively easy, but just wanted to let you know that it will transfer. Embossing stylus, that's that funky tool that has two metal ends with the rounded balls on them. I love this tool because it allows you to transfer the material with the tracing paper, but not actually mark your design. Some wood stir sticks and the hanging tabs. So those hanging tabs will be for the back and we'll talk about that a little bit later. All right, so what you'll be learning tonight is basic shapes to make patterns and how to make the mandala designs. And then from there, you'll fill in the designs with your patterns. You all have a printout of the basic mandala shapes to make patterns. So go ahead and pull that out now. And we're going to just quickly go over making those shapes. So I will turn my video back on. Okay, so I'm actually going to move to my drawing space here, and I've got my sheet here that has my basic mandala shapes on it. I'm going to use that for reference. I've got my eraser and my pencil. So we're going to actually draw this together. I'm going to, instead of using the pencil to make sure that everyone can see everything clearly, I'm going to be using a Sharpie. But I don't recommend you using a Sharpie because you cannot erase any of your designs. So I'm going to start with the basic shape called hump. You can use 2 or 3 squares for this. And I like using the squares to help make the hump equal distant. Each hump is equal distant from one to the other. So that is the hump shape. So I just wanted you to quickly just draw that. And when you do that in Oh, what am I using? Okay, right now I'm using the Sharpie, but I would like for you to use a pencil, and hopefully I'm answering your question there. But I'm using one of the graph papers. It's called the Mandala Shape and Pattern Practice Sheet. And so, but you could use any graph paper if you have any of that available. So I have, making sure, okay, yes, I am pinned to the video. So what I'm drawing here with my hand is the largest video for everyone to see. So that is the basic hump shape. All right, I'm going to move on to the swirl. The swirl is an S, and if you want to draw it, oh, she said she can only see my face. Can everyone else see the pinned design, or you can only see my face? So let's see here. I have, there we go. All right. So I've got the hump shape, and I just wanted to point to that so that we can all see that if you did not see it up close. It is literally just a couple, not necessarily even half circles. It is more so a curved shape, a scallop, I guess one could also say. And you can see I'm not even paying attention right now to the spacing. So I definitely need to focus more on my spacing when I do that continuous pattern. The next basic shape that you can create is called a swirl. And I'd like to do first the swirl right side up. And it's actually a stylized S. So that is right side up. It's either called the S shape or a swirl. And when you turn that sideways, you can get some really pretty patterns. And I'll do another one here. So you can do the same design. You repeat that S or swirl to get a really pretty filler design. So I'll let you do a couple of those. After that, we've got the kiss. Now, the kiss is actually one of the most popular shapes in the mandala patterns. It is one of the more challenging for me, and I have a tendency, naturally, we want to draw things more towards one side than the other. So here is that kiss. And it looks like a stylized leaf also. So do a couple of those in a row. So next, after doing the kiss, heart is a very common shape, but actually can be used to make a pretty pattern. So I'm gonna just draw in a few hearts here. And I like to use the grid, since I've already got it here, to really make my hearts look pretty good. The nice thing about the hearts is if you actually take off the bottom point where the two sections meet at the bottom, you can get a really pretty design like this one right here. So that is the heart shape. I'm going to bring it a little bit closer here so you can see right here. And so you can see it is the heart, but it's missing that bottom point. It makes a really pretty design or a pattern there. So we've got the heart. Next shape is the tail. And tails almost, to me, I don't know why this would be a shape, because they all look to me like a spiral, but they do stop. And so the tail curves around, does start and end where a spiral actually is a closed shape. And you can also go the opposite direction with the tail. So do a couple facing, a couple tail shapes facing one direction and a couple facing the other direction. Or you can also, if you want to, switch back and forth, one tail facing right, one tail facing left. Next we have the drop. It looks like a raindrop. And sometimes when I start doing this really fast, it ends up looking like the paisley shape. But it is more rounded at the bottom and it comes to a point at the top. Also, the drop is used in flower designs and patterns. So the idea is to try to keep them to be all similar as you create your pattern, as far as the size of them. So do not use me as a reference, do as I say, not as I do in this particular case. my drops look like they're all out of whack. After the drops, the next shape is the wave. The wave can be as ornate or basic as you like, and literally it is a waved line, but then you continue on repeating that same line over and over. So that is the wave. Usually 2 lines is ideal, so I'll do an example of that. There it is. And so instead of maybe making some of your lines in your pattern just real thick, dark lines, having that double line, that wave, will add some interest. So the wave can continue on, or it can be in segments. So you can block it off in segments, or it can be a continuous all the way around your design. Next, I have the spiral, which I did mention before, very similar to the tail. The spiral actually comes to a close. So I'm going to start in the center, and as I make my way around, I close it off to make a complete circle. So you can start either as the outer circle and then work your way in and then just close it off at the end, or you can start inside and make it larger around and then close it off to the end there. The spiral is a really pretty filler because though it is organic, it is controlled, being that it is within the circle. So you can make the spiral as a filler or a pattern in itself by connecting the spirals with another shape in between, or just filling a space with the spiral, which is very pretty. Next is our dot. Our dot can be filled in or hollow, and so even just a common circle is actually called a dot. So I've got the larger circle, which is called a dot, with a dot inside of it that is filled in. The hollow dots are also, the smaller circles are also called dots. So whether it's filled in or hollow, it's still a dot. I like to use dots for a small space that I need to put something, but it's not really large enough to actually add a shape of substance. So dots are my go-to filler. After the dot, I have pyramids. Pyramids could be also known as a V shape or maybe a zigzag. But pyramids are nice because they can be right side up or upside down. So after the pyramid, we've got the shape called lines. And lines can go in various directions. I'm going to just use the whole cube here for my line variations. Lines can be directional. This is a great filler too. Or they can be horizontal and vertical. All right, so we've got a couple different line shapes here. After lines, we've got squiggle. I like squiggle because it is just fun and lighthearted, and it's really whatever you want to do for a squiggle. And so that's a great filler too. The last shape that we have is the paisley. The paisley is very similar to the drop, but it actually has like a little bit of slant to it. So I can make it, I'm trying to make it a little more dramatic here. There it is. So one side kind of curves in. So one side is perfectly shaped like a drop, and then the other one just kind of bends in a little bit. So there it is. More dramatic. So that is a fun shape called paisley. Oh, I gotta pin me as the screen. So I want to point out what now, pin video. If I share, hopefully this will be nice and big for everyone to see. No, it is not. All right, so let's look let's look at our printout of the mandala shapes that we were just practiced. And there's like a dotted line. And next to that is shape combinations. I will go back. Okay, so once we have all the shapes, we start putting them together to make combinations. I have made several combinations here just as examples. But I can right now with you show you how to make a few combinations. So I'll rotate my paper here. So for example, I will do a combination of a hump, pyramid, and dot. So I've got the hump. Oh, I got a great question here. Can you do multiple squiggles to cross over each other? Yes, you can. I will get to that in just a moment. I think that's more of a filler, and I haven't gotten there quite yet. So right now, I have put on a hump here, and I'm going to make a combined pattern of combined shapes. So I've got the hump in place, and then I'm going to add a pyramid. And lastly, I will put in a dot. So here is one basic pattern. I can give you another example of a pattern. We can do drops. And over the drops, we can do humps. So what I'd like for you to do for part of your homework is to create some basic patterns with combined shapes. I'll give you one more. I'll give you two more of combined shape patterns here. Let's see. I like to do the hump a lot because it's really easy, and I think it's really pretty too. So I've got a hump, and then I'm going to actually do a smaller hump inside. And then I'm going to use the line. And I can use the line in between my two humps here. So that makes a pattern in itself. And I'll do one more basic pattern here made up of some shapes. I'm going to do the heart like I was telling you. Not closing the bottom portion there. I'll leave that open. So I've got my hearts here. I haven't closed them. And at the bottom, I'm just going to put 2 little lines to make a V right in the center, and then put dots at the end of that V shape. And it can touch the lines, or it doesn't have to. It's up to you. But you can see how those basic shapes help fill in the pattern so that it looks a little bit more interesting. So now that you understand a combination of shapes make a pattern, I'd like to talk to you about filler. And still on that page that I printed off for you, that I created, you have some filler examples. That is letter D, that shows that leaf, and then actually fill with lines. You can see that leaf filled with lines looks very different with each leaf that you have the lines in it. So that is one way you can do filler. And then I had a great question about other fillers. So, you know, I just put a dark line around this circle and then a drop in there, and I filled it in. This is a circle that has that, and I end up filling, and it just turned into the spiral shape. The next one I did a crosshatch, so it is almost a solid fill. There are many different ways that you can do filler, and you can certainly use the squiggle as a filler in any of your shapes. I just chose the circle. You could use a square, the triangle, the drop, and the paisley. All of them you could use filler in them if your shapes are large enough. All right, so let's see if I can. So I'm going to try and share some basic patterns with you that I also will share with you as part of the video presentation. So I'm going to try and share this with you. All right, ladies, so I need a thumbs up if you can see my picture big on the screen. It is the basic mandala patterns. Is that big on your screen? All right, perfect, thank you. All right, so here is the example I was telling you about on the far left, the combined shapes that make up patterns. So obviously we did B, and also C. We talked about the shapes that actually had filler in them. And I wanted to point out, I've got a couple examples on the screen here of some really pretty patterns on the far right with the red star. Those are really pretty. They're also very ornate. We don't want to do them because we're going to be actually painting the designs. We're not doing a line drawing quite yet. So here are some basic pattern ideas that you can use, and also you can adapt and change to your personal preference. So this will, like I said, be in the video presentation, and also here I've got this noted for you. So you can use these patterns to start off with if you've got a little bit of a creator's block. Okay, so I know you're like, woohoo, I love mandala pattern designs. They're so beautiful. This is really what I want to do. Okay, sorry, this is not what we're going to do. This is a little much right now for us. We can do this, but that will be another activity a little bit down the road. This is also done with a felt tip pen, and we're going to be painting our designs on. So let's just practice and start with the basic designs first, and then work our way up to these more intricate designs. All right, so now I'm going to stop sharing, and we're going to start putting some patterns onto the pages. But I want to point out the pages that we have available to us. So not only do we have, this is the Mandala practice sheet, so it's really just graph paper. You can use this for making your patterns. So if you want to practice with patterns, I recommend using this page. So you're thinking to yourself, okay, Dana, so I've made my patterns. How do I get to the actual mandala design? Well, I made for you some templates on the pages. So you've got this huge one here. This one actually, they're labeled 1/2 mandala, 3 panels. So I put these dotted lines here to help you say, okay, I've got my 3 panels. Here is each panel. So you draw in your design here before we transfer it onto the canvas boards. So this is this particular template is if you want 1/2 of the design and on 3 panels, okay? So that's what that one is for. The next is, this is just a whole circular kaleidoscope design, but it's on just 2 panels. The division would be right in the middle here. So that would be for your 2. And then third, the whole design on 3 panels. So it actually says that. Whole mandala, 3 panels. And so you've got your 3 panels here. So this may be a little overwhelming to you. And I actually have a slide that I want to show you. So I'm going to share my screen once again so that you can see what some of these options look like in actuality once there's color in place. Okay. There we go. So looking at the screen here, on the far right, which is some of those panels are highlighting. Those are individual panels. So those are just random sections of the larger mandala designs. You just select one random one and you paint one canvas board with whatever section design you select. And that would also be the same for on the bottom right. It's just a random section. In the center of this slide here, you can see I have half a mandala design on 2 canvas panels. On the far left, you can see half a mandala on 3 canvas panels, and at the bottom, a whole mandala on 2 canvas. So if it's on 3, it's just a little bit wider. So that can maybe help you decide on what it is that you would like to use. Okay, so you cannot see what I am showing you. All right, let me make sure I am the spotlight. So let me go ahead and show you those panels one more time. I've got these panel pages here, and the one that says Mandala 3 panels has the dotted lines on the side, so you can actually see panel 1, panel 2, panel 3. So that will help you determine, to do your design and what part goes on which canvas panel. On the second sheet here, the whole mandala, you can divide your 2 canvas panels in half, and 1 would be on each side. That would give you a total 2 canvas panels, 1 whole mandala design. And then lastly, the half mandala on the 3 panels. So you can see I've got the lines to divide up the panels, and then you put your design. I actually started doing a little bit of chicken scratch here. I'll hold it a little close so you can see for a basic design. So that's some chicken scratch on there when I was practicing prior to trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my personal mandala design. So you can see it is very basic here. Though we might want to do some of those really intricate designs, we want to just start basic. And then once we understand how the shapes and patterns work, you can always do another activity or another painting that is a little more intricate. Okay. All right, so what I'd like for you, if you have any questions thus far, go ahead and type them in for me. But what I'd like to do is stop here and give you some homework of all this information, because I don't want to overload you. This is a lot right now. So what I'd like you to do for your homework, and I'll shoot this to you in an email, is I would like for you to make a few patterns. I already made some patterns on my sheet that I printed off for you, and you can add to it, you can change them and make a few patterns. From there, decide, okay, what kind of circular kaleidoscope design do I want to do? Do I want it to be on those 3 canvas panels? You know, do I just want one individual with one partial design, or do I want one big one with 3 panels or 2 panels? So that is completely up to you. And then from there, once you decide what you want to do, or maybe you can't decide, and so you say, you know what, Dana, I have no clue what I'm doing, so I'm just going to put tons of designs on all these sheets. And then maybe that will help you decide which is your favorite design. So we want to pencil in our designs on the sheets here. And please use pencil, because then you can change them up. You can, you know, if you need to erase something, you can do so. That is going to be your homework and your focus. Making some really pretty patterns, figuring out what you would like to do for your 3 panel, or just make it 2 panel and then 1 miscellaneous panel design. And then the next class that we have, we're going to talk about transferring the pattern, some different pretty backgrounds on the canvas boards, but we're not going to get into any of that now. So if you have any questions, go ahead and send them my way, and I'll make sure I can answer them. So I'll recap one more time what we covered today and what we'll be doing for homework. So today we covered all of these basic shapes. And then from the basic shapes, we started making some basic pretty patterns, and then talked about some filler, some different fillers there. After we talked about that, we actually started to make some patterns, and we put those patterns on our practice sheet. And then from there, we're going to transfer those patterns that we like, the ones that we think that we resonate best with. We're going to transfer those with pencil onto our circular templates here. That is all that we're doing for our homework. And I will have this video along with the other tutorial video available for you either later tonight or early tomorrow morning. And of course, I will send you the links for that, and it will be available for the duration of the class and then a little bit later. So if you have any other questions and we have missed out on any tips or anything, I'll be sure to send them your way. Got some questions here. Yes, absolutely. Please, if you're having creator's block, go ahead, use my patterns and put them in a unique combination to make up a really pretty design. Why not? In fact, you know what? I'll give you another example here on my sheet here. When I was putting my designs in, you can look right here. Literally, I took a hump and I just put those humps in really elongated, and they look very pretty there. And that fills up a whole section of that template. So you can see I kept it as very simple. Why not? Yes, you can use my patterns or any combination. If you want to change up any of the patterns, feel free. Yes, because even if everyone, let's just say everyone's like, oh, I can't think of a pattern. If you all use my pattern and my shape combinations, no one's will come up the same. No one's will look alike, because we all have different creative abilities and interests. So you may decide that you want to drop and someone else wants to replace that drop with a paisley or a circle. So that is certainly fine. Let's see, I've got a couple other questions here. All right, so if you're feeling a little nervous about this, wanted to remind you that we're just using to start off with, we're practicing on these templates here. We're not doing anything on canvases, no painting, nothing set in stone. That's why we're using the pencil and eraser. So just go ahead and start off. Now, mind you, I did mine in Sharpie just so you could see it up close, and it'll be real dark for you to be able to easily see on camera. But all of this, I would have done in pencil. In fact, I think majority of this I did in pencil first because my words are still in pencil. I didn't even darken those. So pencil is the way to go to start off with. Let's see. Oh, you can use any combinations of patterns that you like. Just know that when we start filling them in on these sheets here, we're going to be later on, not now, we're going to be transferring these onto the canvas panels. And so we're going to want to make sure that everything translates really well because we're painting it on brush onto the canvas panel. So if you've got some really intricate design that's real tiny, it's going to be it's going to be really hard to transfer onto the canvas panel clearly, but then two, you're going to have to paint that on with that fine detail brush. So make your life easier and just make simple patterns. Like I was showing you, I literally just took one shape and I turned that one into a pattern when I was filling in the circles of a template. So start with something basic. You are drawing on the templates I gave you. Those templates are for you to use as you wish. If you would like, I made the template lines really dark. So let's just say you're like, oh, I messed up. I erased too much. This page is a hot mess. You can take some regular paper and put it over top of this template paper because I made those template lines really dark. So you can still see through with a regular sheet of paper on top. Okay, so this is not the end all be all. If you would like to use other paper on top and make some new creative patterns. All right, so I think I've answered all the questions there that I've received thus far. Ladies, thanks so much for joining me. I'll be sure to get you all of these materials, like I said, either later tonight or first thing tomorrow morning. Before I head out here, I want to make sure that there's a few people I don't have checked off here on the roster, and I want to make sure that I can get them in here. I've got Barbara. Barbara, I'm missing you. I did get Miss Tony here. And Tiffany and Teresa and Patricia. So those gals I'm missing. If somebody might be with somebody else, just give me a heads up and let me know if they're hidden off camera there when they're with you. So I had a great question here. How to get the designs from the graph paper to the template. Great question. Okay. Oh, Teresa is with Tony. Perfect. Thank you. And Barbara's with Alice. All right. Got my ladies in. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you all are here with me. So you can do two things. One, you can, since you have practiced the pattern, you have become familiar with your own pattern, you can put it in place on your template. You can use the ruler to help you space things out on your template. Worst case scenario, you use a permanent marker that's darker, and you can put your template with this template on top of your graph paper to help at least start you out with the first part of your pattern. So that is an option too. I'm all about helping myself out. Whatever I can do to make things easier and look better, I'm all for it, and I will certainly share that with you. So if you need to do a little bit of tracing here and there to help your pattern look that like it's all of the similar size and same, why not do some tracing? Eventually you're going to be having to paint it freehand, but it's better to get it on your template here. All right, friends, have a wonderful evening. Be safe, be well, be creative, and we'll touch base next week. Good night, and Talk to you soon. If you have any questions, shoot me an email and I will be sure to get those answers out to everyone, because if you have a question, I'm sure someone else has the same question. Good night, friends.